Social conditioning is the process of training individuals to behave in a way that is generally approved by the society. Certain ways of acting and thinking are induced to us by different entities, such as the law, the media, and even our own peer groups. While this seems rather obvious to us, some forms of social conditioning are more subtle and harder to notice. The city's infrastructure and architecture are designed to navigate and to some degree control people through the city. However, architecture is not only controlling the way we maneuver through the city, but it also has a great impact on the way we feel. Most people argue that this type of practical and emotional control is necessary for society to function. Otherwise, simple things like navigating a large crowd of people from one place to another could result in chaos. But what would happen if the architectural control in society was taken to the extreme? In an uninhabited area near Kansas City in the United States, some documents and some rather alien-looking architectural structures were found. No one knew what they were, what their purpose was, or where they came from. A group of architects, calling themselves Movement 14, took initiative in the research of the subject matter. Let's go see what they have to say.
We found the remains around this area, just outside Virgil. There were lots of structures showing varying levels of damage, which made the whole area look like an abandoned city. We found some fragments of building materials such as bricks, concrete, wood and textiles that we think were used in the city's construction. We were intrigued by what the purpose of the building could possibly be, so we started to recreate the structures using 3D digital models. What was particularly interesting was that the architects experimented with different materials and spaces. The main difficulty was not recreating the structures and settings, but trying to find their purpose. After our extensive research, we have reasons to believe that the main function was inducing different emotions and reactions. In order to understand what impact these structures have on us, we conducted several experiments, recreating what it would feel like interacting with those surroundings. We wanted to observe people's reactions to see whether they would support or contradict our theories about the place. Our research led us to discover that the streets were built using different materials and following certain patterns that would induce different emotions. In this particular case, we wanted to recreate the emotional reactions people would have when walking on this structure, using different surfaces and very narrow paths. By making people uncomfortable when they walk, we have observed that negative emotions are induced, such as decreasing confidence and a sense of hazard. The results were very interesting and opened our eyes to new ideas and directions for our research. So we conducted several similar experiments, such as these ones here, to go along with our original 3D models, and these have produced enough data in the form of observations to support our theories.
So are there any clues of who was in charge of the city's construction?
At the moment there's no precise indication of who's behind it, so we can only really speculate, but it could be anyone from the government trying out new ways of controlling its citizens to extreme architects trying out new radical theories. But from what we found out, we kind of guessed that it was the US government was behind it. That's due to the fact that they've got the motive, they like to be able to control the masses, and also they've got enough funding to try and fund such a large project.
Why did you decide to take part in this project?
As an architect, it's always really interested me on how that my designs can affect how people feel. I can change the mood of someone just by the things that I create. That's what really excites me. But I tend to think of myself as a structural psychologist and sometimes even like an architectural puppeteer. So that's why I decided to put my work on hold and put all my efforts into this project.
So far, the American government has not made any statement, and no one else has taken responsibility. As long as the designers of this place remain unknown, we can only speculate on who built it and why they stopped building it. Is it because the magnitude of the effect was big enough for the government to stage a cover-up? Is it because they are already planning to install this infrastructure in our existing society? For now, none of these questions can be answered. But the case of this strange city certainly sparked a discussion about our architecture and infrastructure. Do we agree with social conditioning and the degree we are being controlled? Is it something that we should embrace or we condemn? And most importantly, is it in our power to change something?